Hello and welcome to episode 146 of my Wurm Unlimited tutorial series. This episode is going to be on wild bee hives. But before I begin, say hello Rainstorm.
Hi everyone, Rainstorm here.
Thank you Rainstorm for joining me. Okay, so what we're now going to cover on this in this episode is information, all information, a lot of it from the wonderful Wurmpedia, trying to cover the wild bee hives and information pertaining to them. So the very first thing that we need to do before we even go near this hive, of course, is to light our bee smoker. So let's do that. Okay, now that that's lit, it's safe for us to go and tinker with this beehive. Okay, so what we're looking at in this episode is a wild one, because you can get domestic beehives, but that, my dear viewers, is another episode, and hopefully it will be a good one. So here's our wild beehive. Now what I'm going to do is explain a lot of information about the wild beehive. If I cover a subject and Rainstorm wants to add something, she'll just interject with that. So I'm going to start right at the beginning with them. The very first thing, if you want to breed bees, so you want to start a bee farm, then the very first thing you need to start with is, when you find your beehive, okay, is to plant loads of flowers on all the tiles around the tile which has the beehive. So that's your first job if you're going to be trying to farm bees. First thing is go to all the surrounding tiles and plant your flowers up. What that will do for you and your beehive, your queen, is it will make sure they have enough pollen in order to make the honey within the hive, which then will keep them alive.
Hey Gamester, it's
yeah?
the nectar.
It's
the
nectar.
nectar, not the pollen.
Oh, is it nectar? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it ensures they've got enough nectar. And why can't I plant these flowers? What am I doing?
Does it need to be dirt?
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Right, so let's activate my shovel.
So this area that he's got right here next to the tree where the hive is, used to be all trees. And so we want the bees to start producing more honey and beeswax. I cut down all the trees around here and planted flowers. Because the bees need the nectar to make the honey.
Yeah, very, very good. So what we're now doing is going all around. The higher the quality, I mean, I'm going to be saying this as I give the information about the hive, but the higher the quality wild beehive, the further the queens will travel. So the further out you'll need to put flowers on the tiles. I'm going to do one more and then that should be sufficient. Yeah, there were a lot of trees over here, so you must have been busy chopping.
I did, and I put all the wood in one of your, or in several of your BSBs over there.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Nothing will fit in them anymore.
Okay, right, now that we've got an area all covered in flowers, these bees should be happy bees, and they should stay alive because they should be producing plenty of honey. So what I'm going to do now, with the beehive highlighted, I'm going to read through now all the information with regards to this wild beehive. First of all, a description: a structure built into a tree in which some honey bee species of the subgenus Apis live and raise their young. A wild beehive is a randomly spawned item that appears on the side of trees. They appear in the spring and vanish at the end of the worm year, in autumn and winter. When a player is in the vicinity of a hive, a message in the event window will indicate so. You hear bees. Maybe you are getting close to a hive. The bee noises is getting louder. Maybe you're getting closer to their hive. There is also a message when the player leaves the vicinity. The sound of bees decreases as you move further away from the hive. The sounds of bees disappears in the distance. So that's your way of finding your beehives, because to start off with, before you can start breeding them and creating a bee farm, you're going to need to find them. So that's how you can do that. Okay, locations hives can be found. Wild beehives are spawned in different locations each year. They are found on the side of trees except on fruit, chestnut or walnut trees. Wild beehives will not spawn next to structures or close to existing hives. Products. A wild beehive produces honey and beeswax over time, and in the wild beehive you cannot add sugar to it, so the bees will eat the honey, and so see honey in a wild beehive as their food. You may be tempted to take the honey in order to use it for making other items, which, my dear viewers, is another episode, and hopefully it'll be a good one. But do not be tempted to take the honey out, because if you do, you're basically taking their food away from them. If you take the honey out of a hive, a wild bee hive, they'll be left with no food and they'll all start to die, and so that wild hive will be a hive full of dead bees. So do not take the honey out. That was the whole point of us planting all the flowers, is to make sure that they keep making enough honey to keep them alive. So with the wild beehive, and we mentioned products, honey is not a product you'll be taking from a wild beehive. That's for the domestic beehive. Then you can start farming lots of honey, because you can supplement sugar in place of honey. Bees prefer sugar, but you can't put sugar in a wild beehive, so therefore they have to eat the honey. Okay, so that's that. The amount produced is dependent on nearby flowers, fields and trees. Flowers are the best in helping the production increase, so that's why Rainstorm and myself went planting flowers all over. If surrounding tiles don't produce enough nectar to feed the bees, nothing is produced. Higher quality hives look at a larger area of tiles. So what we've just said there, if I double click on this hive, you'll see it says a structure built into the tree in which some honeybee species blah blah blah, and it gives us the quality level. So this is a quality level 53. That's quite good. That's over halfway to the top. But the higher the quality level of the hive, the wild hive, the further the bees will go out checking tiles for flowers and them other trees and other things that will give them nectar. So just bear that in mind with your hive. Okay, moving on. The quality of the honey and beeswax is the same as the hive quality. So again, 53 is very good. So the beeswax I'll be taking, but not the honey. Okay, next let's mention now about the queens. A wild beehive is spawned containing one queen bee. A second queen bee can appear in the hive once every worm month. There must be a minimum of amount of 2 kilograms of honey in the hive for a new queen to arrive. A wild hive with 2 queen bees has a chance to migrate to a domestic hive, which we'll be getting to in the next episode. The wild hive may have an attached descriptor to their name when you hover over it, which gives a clue to the status. So I just said to you a statement, didn't I, about how a hive can have 1 or 2 queen bees in it, and no doubt when I was reading that off to you, you was shouting at me, but how do I know if the hive has 1 or 2 queen bees in it, you idiot? Yeah, I know you've said that. I'll forgive you for calling me an idiot. It's okay, I know that already. Tell me so, I don't know. Anyway, so how do you know if a wild hive has 1 or 2 queen bees in it? Well, let's take a look. So if I hover over this, you'll see that it says active. So when you hover over a wild hive, there is different descriptors that you can see. And first I'm going to read through all the descriptors, and well, it'll be self-explanatory as I go through as for you to know whether it has 1 or 2 queen bees in it. Okay, so I'm hovering over, and the descriptors that you can see are dormant, which applies to a domestic beehive only. This shows in the winter only. This means the hive has 1 queen and will reactivate in the spring. So you'll only see dormant over a domestic beehive. So really it's irrelevant to this episode, but I might forget to mention it in the next episode, which is going to be on the domestic hives. Another descriptor you can see is empty. There is no queen in the hive. Another descriptor is noisy. The hive has 2 queens. So there you go. When hovering over, if that descriptor said, instead of active, said noisy, that means it's got 2 queen bees in it. Active. The hive has 1 queen and is active. So as you can see there, it says Furwood active wild beehive. That means that it's only got 1 queen bee in it. But remember, each month there is a chance for a second queen bee to spawn excuse me, in the hive. So next month, if I come in here, next worm month, come over and hover, and it says noisy, that means there's 2 queen bees in there. The wild hive may have oops, no, I've already gone over that. When opening a hive, the bees can sting you, dealing poison damage unless you have a lit bee smoker. Well, I actually showed you that, didn't I, in the last episode? I got stung, but I made the bee smoker, and as you can see, I turned it on before I came down here. But here's something perhaps you don't realise, okay? Do not go opening and closing the hive. Now, this is a subject where some people say, well, let's just read it to you and then I'll let you form your own opinions. When opening a hive, the bees can sting you, that you know, but a note attached to this: when opening a hive with a lit bee smoker in your inventory, all produced honey and beeswax within the hive has a chance to be removed. So with that, now with this, I was talking to Rainstorm, and she's never experienced that happen to her. Have you, Rainstorm?
No, I have not.
So
I think we should test this one.
Yeah, so it needs testing, really. I'll open this hive again, although I'm taking a risk because it's my only beehive. Rainstorm doesn't have one on her location, and remember, if I open this hive and the honey does disappear, that means the hive will die because the honey.
Well, no, not yet. No. Remember, they start off with no honey and wax in it. The flowers around it will give them the nectar to produce the honey and the wax.
Yeah, but what I'm wondering is if I open it now and the honey gets removed because I've just opened it.
They'll go out looking for more flowers to create more honey.
Yeah, we need to test this more really as well. We need it to actually happen so we can see whether the queen does just keep going out and getting more honey, or whether she'll starve before this. That we'll need to test. But anyway, let's open it. So there we go. You can see we've got a tiny little bit of honey, 1.49 kilograms, and a tiny bit of beeswax. I'm going to leave it all in here for now, and we can take another look in here later on to see how much it's increased by, and see if we can start to see the maximums of what can appear in there. So there we are. So that's that note. Let's carry on reading what it said. So when you open it, bees will not sting passers-by. Bees will sting players attempting to cut down the tree containing their wild hive, unless they carry a lit bee smoker in their inventory. Note, the hive will be destroyed if the tree is cut down. So with that in mind now, when you go off wood cutting and you have a mind that you want to do bee farming in the future, before you just go cutting down trees, of course you would have got the message about the bees down here, but maybe you've missed that. Just bear in mind that if you want to farm your bees and you cut down the tree that has the beehive, you will destroy the beehive, and if you don't have a lit smoker, you're going to get stung. Right, okay, so Rainstorm, that is the information that I've got. Is there anything you'd like to add to all of this? Because there is quite a bit of information with bees.
One of the descriptors said empty. There's no queen in the hive. If that happens, the hive will eventually just disappear.
Oh, will it?
Yeah. Unless there's another hive someplace and a queen moves into it, it will actually disappear. We had that happen over at Homestead.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the bee, why did the bees die?
We were trying to get a bee to move into a one of the domestic hives, and it did move, but the wild hive was now empty, and eventually it just disappeared because no other queen was there to move into it.
Oh, so if that's the case, you want to take the honey and beeswax out then?
Yes.
If you know, otherwise you lose it.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, indeed, if you're travelling through the world, you know, like you remember our trips in Wurm Online when we just go on long journeys. I mean, you know, if we've got a bee smoker lit with us, then we'd be emptying out them beehives on our long journey because we wouldn't be intending on going back to them or breeding them. So we'd just want to take the honey and the beeswax, or just take the beeswax if we plan on keep going back in that direction.
Right.
Hey, so there's some points to with regards to when you're out exploring and you see beehives. Always take the beeswax, maybe not the honey if you don't want the hive to die, or like you say, it could be that the queen will just go and make more honey if there's enough flowers, so maybe plant loads of flowers around the hive, then take all its honey and beeswax. Hopefully some of you watching will do a little test, if you don't mind your beehive dying, taking all your honey and beeswax out and then seeing what happens, whether the hive does die or whether it just regenerates enough honey to survive.
That's a good point. I would have tested that, but yeah, I didn't get any hives this spring. Last spring I had two wild hives, which was really nice, but this season we didn't get any. But you were lucky and got one, so that was...
Yeah, the worm gods favoured us. So did you get... how much honey and beeswax people are now asking, so I better just ask this on their behalf. How much honey and beeswax did you manage to get in total from them beehives?
You know, I'm really not sure.
And did you empty them out before they died?
Yes, we did.
Oh.
We put them in the BSBs, so I'm not sure exactly how much. We put them in the BSBs so that we can use them for cooking.
Ah, right. Okay. Okay.
But we did domesticate our hives before we took everything out.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add about the the wild hives?
No. You'll just be wandering the world, and they'll just pop up anywhere. They can spawn on your deeds, and they can spawn outside of deeds. It just doesn't matter. And again, they spawn in the spring, and then they go dormant. The wild ones, anyway, go dormant in the fall and disappear. So it takes a while for them to come back. So that's why it's good to have them domesticated, so that you can have honey a little bit further in the year.
So the domesticated ones, do they go dormant during the winter as well?
They go through the winter dormant, but not the fall. They were still active in the fall.
Ah, right. Okay, so there's a good difference between the domesticated and the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Good point.
And you can make a whole farm with the domesticated, which is what I'm starting over on my island, and you can show them.
Oh yeah, we'll be
next
taking.
episode.
We'll be taking a look at that. Okay, anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. If you want to say goodbye, I'll say the outro.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Rainstorm, for yet again taking the time to help me and help create this episode. And thank you very much for your help. Wherever you are in the world, God bless you and keep every last one of you safe. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day. Goodbye.